She smiled at you. Just one look, just one small curve of her lips, and your heart raced. You felt a spark, a flicker of possibility. Maybe it was fate, maybe just timing, but in that brief moment you were convinced there was a connection. You started talking. You leaned in, listening with intent. You showed genuine interest. Maybe you even worked up the courage to ask her out, imagining where things could go. And then, suddenly, it shifted. The warmth you felt from her vanished like a candle snuffed out in the wind. She pulled back. Her tone grew cooler. Her body language distant. "I'm not looking for anything serious," she might say, her words sharp enough to cut through your hope. Or worse, she might disappear altogether, no explanation, no closure, just silence. If you've ever been in that position, especially as an older man engaging with a younger woman, you know how confusing it feels. One moment, she seemed present, open, maybe even interested. The next, she's gone, emotionally, mentally, maybe even physically, and you're left wondering, what happened? Was it my age? Was it something I said? Or is this just how things go nowadays? Here's the truth most men don't want to hear. It's usually not your age. Women aren't turned off by numbers on a birthday cake. What pushes them away is something far more subtle, something in how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you respond, or even what you don't do. Attraction isn't destroyed by wrinkles or a few gray hairs. It's destroyed by behaviors that communicate insecurity, neediness, or a lack of grounded presence. So before you write it off as, "She only wants younger guys," pause, because more often than not, the issue isn't about the years you've lived, it's about the energy you bring. And energy, unlike age, is completely within your control. Think about it. Younger women are not universally against dating older men. In fact, many are drawn to the maturity, steadiness, and confidence that only time and life experience can build. They find security in calm leadership. They're intrigued by wisdom. They're attracted to a man who doesn't flinch at the storms of life because he's already walked through enough of them. But when that natural strength is clouded, when it gets buried under nervous chatter, over-explaining, or performative, alpha behavior, it kills attraction instantly. It's not the age that's the problem, it's the way you show up. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." And that single line could rewrite the love lives of countless men. Because Stoicism, at its core, is not about posturing. It doesn't chase. It doesn't over-explain. It doesn't beg for validation. It simply is. And yet, here's the tragic pattern. So many older men today give away their power before the conversation even begins. Not because they're unattractive, not because women can't see their worth, but because they've forgotten the timeless principles of self-respect, silence, and presence. Imagine this for a moment. A younger woman meets an older man. She expects composure. She expects confidence that doesn't need to shout. She expects calmness born from experience. But instead, what does she get? Over-eagerness, nervous oversharing, jokes that try too hard, stories that feel like resumes disguised as conversations. She doesn't feel inspired by his energy, she feels drained. And this is where most men lose the game without even realizing they're playing it. They think attraction is about what they can prove. In reality, attraction is about what they can embody. The subtle truth is this: the energy you bring into the first 5 minutes can either magnetize her or repel her. If your presence radiates calm certainty, she feels it. If your presence leaks insecurity, She feels that too. Women are intuitive. They pick up on energy long before they process words. That's why you can't talk your way into attraction. You either live it or you don't. Now here's the good news. Stoicism offers a way forward. A way to shift from nervous grasping to magnetic composure. A way to silence the habits that kill attraction and replace them with presence that commands respect. So today, we're going to uncover the 7 subtle turnoffs that instantly break the vibe between older men and younger women. And more importantly, we'll see how Stoic principles can flip the script, turning what once pushed her away into what naturally draws her closer. These aren't cliches or quick tricks. They're patterns you may not even realize you're falling into. Patterns that sabotage connection before it even starts. But once you see them clearly, you'll never unsee them. You'll begin to understand exactly why things shifted. And more importantly, how to stop repeating the same cycle. The first of these turnoffs is one of the most common, yet one of the easiest to fix. It's a habit many men develop without noticing, and it kills attraction in seconds. And it begins the moment you feel the need to prove yourself. You start talking about your career. You mention the car you drive. You slide in details about your past relationships, your lifestyle, your achievements, all within the first few minutes. You think you're showing your value, but in reality, you're doing the exact opposite. Because when you over-explain your value, you reveal something you don't intend to, that you're not sure she sees it. And here's where Stoicism gives us a profound reminder. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. That single truth applies directly here. Older men often fall into the trap of overcompensating. They assume they must justify why a younger woman should even be interested. They talk too much, give reasons, point to their achievements, hoping she'll be convinced. But attraction isn't negotiated. It isn't a contract you persuade her to sign. It's not something she agrees to because you made a logical case. It's something she feels, or doesn't. That's why the answer is simple. Speak less. Don't try to sell yourself like a product. Let your energy, your calmness, your grounded presence speak louder than any resume ever could. Think about it. When a man walks into a room and says nothing, yet every head turns to notice him, that's attraction. It's not about noise, it's about silent strength. Have you ever met someone who seemed magnetic without saying much? That's the difference between explaining and embodying. 2. Trying too hard to be cool. Another major mistake is when older men try desperately to look or sound young. They sprinkle Gen Z slang into conversations, even when it feels unnatural. They chase every trend, from clothes to music, trying to mimic a generation that isn't theirs. They fake interest in things they don't genuinely care about just to fit in. But here's the irony. In doing so, they lose the very thing that makes them attractive in the first place. What draws women to older men is not that they're just like younger guys. It's that they're different. It's the maturity, the wisdom, the grounded sense of self that comes only with time. When you trade authenticity for approval, you dilute your essence. You become forgettable. Think of it this way. Would you rather be timeless or trendy? Trends come and go like waves crashing on the shore. But timeless presence stands like a mountain. Women aren't looking for a man who blends in like a teenager at a party. They're looking for a man who stands apart without trying. So, stop imitating. Stop performing. Stop dressing or speaking in ways that aren't natural to you. True confidence doesn't scream, "Look, I can keep up." It quietly radiates, "I don't need to." 3. Seeking her approval. This one destroys attraction faster than almost anything else. Imagine you're with her, and you make a move, maybe reaching for her hand, maybe suggesting a plan, and immediately after, you ask, "Was that okay?" Or you constantly check her reactions, looking for micro signals of whether you're pleasing her. You think you're being considerate. You think you're being polite. But what she feels is hesitation. She feels that you're waiting for her to lead the vibe, to decide whether you're enough. That kills attraction. Because at the core, younger women don't test men to dominate them. They test to see if you can lead. If you crumble at the first sign of uncertainty, she knows she can't trust your frame. Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The same principle applies here. Attraction dies when your reactions are shaky, uncertain, approval-seeking. But when your reactions are calm, certain, and steady, she feels safe. She feels led. She feels she can relax into your energy. Think of approval-seeking like a leaking bucket. No matter how much validation she pours in, it drains out. The more you ask for it, the emptier you appear. Instead, close the bucket. Be the man who doesn't need constant reassurance. Lead with certainty, not questions. 4. Talking about your age. This one is subtle, but devastating. Some men sabotage themselves by constantly bringing up age. They joke about it. They make self-deprecating comments like, "I'm too old for this," or, "You must think I'm ancient." They highlight the very thing she wasn't even thinking about. And here's the truth. She wasn't noticing until you mentioned it. By shining a spotlight on your age, you inject insecurity into the space. What could have been an irrelevant detail suddenly becomes the center of the interaction. The fix? Own your age fully. Don't hide it. Don't joke about it. Don't apologize for it. Let her feel the quiet confidence that comes with it. Age itself is not the problem. Insecurity about age is. Women are not repelled by numbers. They're repelled by doubt. When you embrace who you are without apology, you project strength. And that strength is far more attractive than pretending you're younger. 5. Playing the savior. This mistake often comes from good intentions, but it backfires. Older men sometimes slip into the role of rescuer. They listen to a younger woman share about her challenges and immediately offer solutions. They act like her therapist, her mentor, her life coach, fixing problems she didn't ask help for. On the surface, it seems noble, but underneath, it reeks of a covert contract. It says, if I help you, maybe you'll value me, maybe you'll love me. But attraction doesn't work that way. You don't need to solve her life. You don't need to rescue her from every storm. What she needs is not another coach, she needs presence. Connection isn't built through constant advice. It's born from being truly seen. She doesn't want you to fix her, she wants you to understand her. Think of it this way. A lighthouse doesn't swim out to rescue ships. It stands firm, shines its light, and lets ships find their way. Be that lighthouse. Stand steady. Let her feel you. That's where real connection happens. 6. Being bitter toward her generation. Few things kill attraction faster than bitterness. Some older men complain endlessly about today's women. They criticize how modern girls don't appreciate real men. They compare the past to the present, always casting the present in a negative light. But bitterness is poison. It doesn't make you seem wise, it makes you seem resentful. And resentment is never attractive. When you attack her generation, you attack her identity. Why would she want to connect with a man who's constantly criticizing the world she grew up in? Instead of focusing on what's wrong, focus on what you appreciate. Be curious, not critical. Strength isn't bitter. Strength is grounded enough to adapt, to see the value even in change. Remember, a Stoic man doesn't complain about what the world should be. He faces it as it is, and leads calmly within it. Think about that for a moment. Every time you rant about modern dating, or how things were better back then, what picture does it paint? Instead of appearing grounded, calm, and in control, you come across as frustrated, stuck in the past, and unwilling to adapt. And nothing kills attraction faster than bitterness disguised as wisdom. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." His words cut deep even today. If you don't respect the modern landscape, you won't be respected within it. That means, instead of fighting against the times, you show her something far more powerful. You demonstrate that you can thrive in any generation, not just the one you grew up in. So, how do you actually do this in practice? The answer is simple but not always easy. Speak less. Move more. Let your actions, not your complaints, convey your value. Be the man who listens more than he talks. But when he does speak, his words carry weight. They land. They matter. He doesn't ramble or defend himself. Instead, he sets the tone with calm confidence. Lead the energy. That means guiding where things go, from the tone of the conversation to the plan for the date. You don't push or force. You guide with steady direction. And when you do that, something powerful happens. She feels safe. She feels attracted. She feels led. Build a life that makes you magnetic on its own. Younger women don't fall in love with a man who is waiting for them to be his mission. They are drawn to the man who is already fulfilled, already standing on solid ground. So build your body, master your craft, own your space. Be a man who is complete before she ever walks into the room. Because that's the man who doesn't crumble when rejection shows up. And rejection will show up. Not every younger woman will be interested in you, and that's perfectly fine. The Stoic man stays grounded regardless of the outcome. Why? Because he isn't chasing approval. He isn't seeking validation. Instead, he attracts alignment. Be the calm in her chaos. Remember, many younger women today live fast, distracted, noisy lives. They're pulled in 10 different directions at once. When you step into that space as stillness instead of more noise, you instantly become rare. Younger women don't hate older men. What they hate is weak energy, bitterness, insecurity, bravado that feels fake, or chill that masks real uncertainty. They don't reject age, they reject weakness. But a Stoic man is different. He's grounded, intentional, and unshakable. He isn't performing. He isn't chasing. He simply is. And that presence, quiet, calm, magnetic, becomes the most attractive thing in the room, no matter how old he is. So remember this. Don't perform. Don't chase. And above all, don't waste energy being bitter about the world. Rise above it, now that we've broken down the subtle mistakes older men often make. Let's bring it all together. Remember this. Younger women are not rejecting your age, they're rejecting weak energy. They don't pull back because you're older. They pull back because you've lost the grounded strength that once made you magnetic. So what's the answer? It's not about chasing, performing, or proving. It's about embodying the quiet confidence of a man who is already whole. Speak less, move with intention, and let your presence carry weight. Lead the energy, whether in conversation, in planning, or simply in how you show up. When you guide with calm certainty, she feels safe. She feels drawn in. Build a life that makes you radiant without needing her validation. Train your body. Sharpen your craft. Own your space. Stop fearing rejection, because rejection does not define you. The Stoic man remains unshaken, whether she stays or walks away. Why? Because his value doesn't come from her reaction. It comes from within. And here lies the paradox. The less you chase, the more magnetic you become. Women aren't searching for perfection, they're searching for presence. They don't want a man who explains why he's worthy. They want a man who is worthy, silently, steadily, naturally. So remember this truth. Don't perform, don't chase, and don't dilute who you are. Be grounded, be intentional, be unshakable. That's when age disappears, and timeless attraction takes its place. And as we move forward, let's explore exactly how to cultivate that Stoic mindset in daily life, so you don't just understand these principles, but live them, because when you live them, everything changes.